She ready. Who you owe? Nobody. Who you owe? Nobody. Who you owe? Nobody. Yeah. Hey guys, and welcome back to Tomi's World. You already know it's your girl Tomi, and in today's video, I'm going to tell you how I paid off approximately 8,000 US dollars worth of debt in 1 year. So if you are interested in knowing how I did this, then just stay tuned, okay? Mwah. So, before I get into how I paid off all this loan, I'm first gonna tell you how I incurred all this loan. And if you already watched my story time about how I got robbed before coming to Japan, then you already know how a lot of that loan came to be. But if you didn't watch that, I'm gonna leave the link in the description below, so just click on that, watch that before you watch this or after you watch this. Okay, don't leave, stay with me, okay? But at some point you should watch that. Okay, so before I came to Japan, I had incurred a lot of debt, mainly because I had gotten robbed in America, but I had incurred debt like before that. The first and foremost, like the biggest one would be student loans, and y'all already know how that goes. You gotta pay to get an education that don't really get you nowhere in life, but you know what? I'm in Japan using my English degree to teach English, so I'm not gonna complain. Second, I had to pay back the lady who helped me to pay for the program where I got to work in America for a couple months, but y'all already know how that went. And I owed her like 800 US dollars, which was another complete mess. Third, I had to pay back my landlord here in Japan because when I came, I didn't realize that I needed to pay key money. Y'all, that's a whole nother mess. And that was in the sum of 100,000 yen. Yeah, so I had to pay that. I also owed my father 200,000 Jamaican dollars because I had to borrow money from him to come to Japan after I got robbed. I owed my aunt some money, about $300 or so, because she had to be paying for my flights to leave America and everything. And there were also some minor loans that I owed. Like I owed my uncle some money because he paid for my flights to go to America and to come back, which we lost that money because of course I came back a long time before I was supposed to. And I just owed a lot of minor loans. So in total, it came up to about $8,000. And I just had all this loan to pay back. And I was like, okay, we need to find some way to do this because your girl was not going to be living with all this loan forever. Because if there is one thing I hate, it's owing people money. Like when you get your paycheck and you gotta pay people out of it, I just feel like it's kind of disrespectful, you know?
I just need somebody to give me a loan, then leave me alone, okay?
Anyway, let's get into the tips that will help you to pay off your student loans or your debts. Because if you're over here, I'm guessing that you also owe some big debts. So let's go, sis and bros. I'll tell you how I paid off my loan. Tip number 1, you gotta know your why. You gotta know why you are doing what you're doing. Basically, you just gotta remind yourself every day why you gotta pay those loans back, because that is super important. Because if you have no goal, like you're working towards paying your goals off because whatever, then it's not gonna happen. So you just have to know your why. My why was that I did not want to be owing people all the time. I did not want to be one of those persons who just had loans for their entire life. That really scared me. I did not want to be in such a situation. And my other why was that I knew that at some point I wanted to go back to Jamaica, and I love my country, but in all honesty, someone who owed student loans and had this much debt could not live in Jamaica peacefully, basically, because you would never pay those loans back, especially with a teaching degree. Tip number 2 is that you have to be willing and able to sacrifice. You gotta drop those expensive habits. If it's going out every weekend to party, you gotta let it go, sis. If it's those Gucci and Tiffany and Co., you gotta remember that those people are already established. They got their money. You don't need to be on Instagram searching for that clout. You just need to be living your own life, living within your means. You just gotta learn how to sacrifice. Some things just gotta go. With me, I was in Japan. I had a lot of enkais, which are teacher drinking parties that I really wanted to go to because I heard how great they are and how fun it was to hang with your teachers like that. Sometimes I couldn't go. Sometimes I made that sacrifice and decided that I would go, which is just probably once since I've been here, because they're really expensive. It's like 10,000 yen. And I don't eat sushi and I don't eat half of the food that's there, but you didn't ask me that. But you just gotta be able to sacrifice. Whatever it is that you know that you gotta cut back on, you just gotta cut it. Tip number 3, you gotta learn how to align your spending with your values, y'all. This is one of the most important tips. You have to learn how to align your spending with your values. And when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about the fact that you can't be spending money that you don't have, knowing that you got these loans to pay off and expect that the loans are just gonna pay themselves off. That's not how this works. So I remember days when I went to the supermarket, right, to get some chicken, and I was taking up chicken and I'm looking at the price and it's like 431, and I put that back and took up some chicken that was like 420. That's $11 more towards my student loans, y'all. I don't care. I gotta let it happen. You know? But also, on the other hand, you have to be smart about what you're doing, because I remember, like, when I just came to Japan, I had no winter clothes and it was coming on to winter, and I felt kind of bad for spending money buying clothes, and I had to remind myself that this is something that you need. This is a necessity. So it's not saying that you should be mean and evil to yourself. You just gotta align those spending habits with your values. That's all I'm saying. Tip number 4, you have to create and live with a bare bone budget. When I'm talking about bare bone budgets, y'all, I'm talking about those budgets where it's like all you got on there is your bills. Once you finish paying off your bills and you got that money stored for food, because you know that food is very important. Once you get all the necessities out of the way, you just gotta make sure that there is no unnecessary spending. And making the budget, I think, is the easy part, but it's living with the budget that's gonna be difficult. And this is when it comes back to knowing your why, right? So you just gotta create and live with that bare bone budget, because this is important, guys. It might be hard, but at the end of the day, y'all gonna be happy when you get your paycheck and all that some money is for you, because you don't owe nobody.
She ready. Who you owe? Nobody. Who you owe? Nobody. Who you owe? Nobody. Yes.
That's your money. Tip number 5 is a tip that I actually got from a financial advisor who came to speak to us a couple days before we graduated, and he told me you need to pay more than your minimum payment, and that is very important. The minimum payment for my student loan was only 6,000 Jamaican dollars, or 60 US dollars. And I know a lot of people who are here in Japan, from Jamaica, America, England, and they're all paying that minimum balance, and that's why they're not finished. You can't pay that minimum balance. My minimum balance was 6,000 Jamaican dollars, and every month I was paying 1,000 US dollars or 100,000 Jamaican dollars because I knew that my goal was to finish paying off the student loan, and there's no way you can finish paying off your student loan if you keep on paying the very minimum balance, because then your interest rate will be so much higher and you'll be paying the bank like 3 times, 4 times of the money that you actually borrowed. But once you pay more, then the capital decreases, which means your interest rate will also decrease. Can you believe this is the girl with this calcula? I ain't got this calcula in money. So tip number 6, which is also my final tip, is that you have to pay consistently and on time. These 2 things are the key to paying off your student loans. Every time you miss a student loan payment, you're going to end up paying more interest rate because they're going to charge you money for missing that payment. It's kind of like punishment for not doing what you said you were gonna do. So don't let that happen to you, okay? And the second one, paying on time, because when you do not pay your student loan on time, your loans go into arrears, and once they are in arrears, guys, they're going to start charging you money just for not paying it on time. So if you're in like a bad situation in 1 month, or you're in a bad situation for that particular month, then it's always best to at least pay the minimum balance if you can't pay more than that. That's very important, because if you don't pay your loans consistently, meaning every single month and on time, it ain't gonna work, sis. It ain't gonna work, okay? So those are the tips that I have for paying back your student loan, and that is how I paid off my student loans at the tender age of 21, okay? So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We are almost at 500 subscribers. I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. I'll see you in the next upload. Mwah.